Hi there, today is November 20th, and what I want to share tonight is really truly how beautiful miracles can work in our lives. And I've shared before that I've had a really challenging, 10 years. Well, probably longer than that, but anyway, the hardest parts of my life, I would say, started 10 years ago, and that was when I ended up getting divorced. And, if anybody would have told me at that time how hard my life was going to get, I would have never left that marriage ever knowing that, because I would have never guessed that, a few years after leaving my marriage, that I would then get cancer. And, I think I almost died. Like, we never know. Did you almost die or did you not? Or did you not almost die because you're still alive? But I would very much guess that I did almost die a few times through that journey. And then that just set up this whole new challenge of then being diagnosed with severe depression and severe anxiety, and losing everything financially because I wasn't unable to run my business at that time, having to rent this tiny little cabin in the woods because that's the only place that I didn't want to take my life. Well, the only time I felt like I wanted to live was when I was in nature, and I couldn't afford the house that I lived in anymore. I was in so much debt, and so I rented this tiny little cabin, and 2 days later, my house sold. And I had equity in my home so that I could live in the bush and really truly heal. But what I was doing in order to heal was connecting to God in the moment. But what's been happening through the years is my experience of God is changing all the time. And it's because what's happening is the rigid beliefs that I held about what God is continue to shift and change because I've kept my mind open. I have kept my mind open to really experience God instead of learn about it. And it used to bother me. There was a time through this that I started going to church, and I loved the sermons, and I loved being there, but I always thought that it was weird that they were teaching what God was, and they weren't saying, hey, put your hand on your heart and listen to God, feel God. Like, what is God to you? Why are we being taught about God instead of being led to feel it? And so this is what I've been doing. And, probably the last few years, when I would visualize God, I would see this mother and father energy. And I was kind of like, well, that actually makes sense, because when we're talking about the divine feminine and the feminine energy, when you really sit down and try to think about feminine role models in the world, it's actually hard, because women are taught to be strong, but in a controlling way, in a powerful way. It's like this masculine strength. It's not feminine, because the feminine is gentle. She rests, she receives, she plays. She allows life to flow through her. She doesn't push it. And that's what I feel I'm feeling in my own body, in my own life. And, I just find that it's a really beautiful time on the planet to start to really share this message with people, and ask you to start to experience what is God to you. But what I truly believe is, with God, all things are possible. But what's actually happening in this world is we've taken God out of everything. We've taken God out of schools. We've taken God out of everything. And a lot of people that do talk about God are talking in this way. A lot of it is very, very fear based. And I don't believe that we were ever meant to be afraid of anything. I believe the message that Jesus and Buddha and everybody that was here to share, anybody that was here with a strong, powerful, heart opening message was saying to be here in the moment, that you are it. And that's what I continue to feel more and more. You know, when I visualize the mother and the father, and it's a process, this is a daily process, but when we envision it and feel it, I just feel safe. And the more safe I feel, the less I worry, the less I fear. And last night I had this experience it was the most profound experience I've ever had. It was just this incredible shift. It just felt like the dissolving of so much fear through my mind, through my heart, through my whole body. I could feel it in every fucking cell in my body. And after that experience happened, it's like I don't see life the way I saw it before. I'm not the same person. And this is why I'm so excited to share this work with everyone that will listen. Because everyone who uses these tools that I'm here to share will benefit. Your life will change. And I know this because mine did. And I am just so excited to see what's about to happen in my life, because it's going to be fucking magical. And, you know, they say if you have faith of a mustard seed, you will see mountains moved. Well, I've got the faith of fucking bottles and bottles of mustard seeds. I don't even know what fucking mustard seed looks like. But all I know is that there have been so many huge miracles in my life, and I can't talk about them because they involve another person. My favorite line so far from the Chosen series, if anybody wants, that's the most beautiful series to watch. Mary was describing her experience with Jesus. They said that Mary had demons. I don't believe Mary had demons. I believe that Mary was bipolar. You know, back then they didn't have science to back up, so they called everything evil and demons. What they didn't know is that it's our thoughts that are pulling us from our subconscious mind. But Mary was describing her experience with Jesus, and she said, I was one way, and then I was another. And that is what I've just witnessed in my life with one of the people that I love most in this world, that they were one way, and now they are another. And I was one way, and now I am another. And those are the most incredible miracles, when it's somebody that you love so dearly that just comes back into their body, back into their hearts. And, you know, this is the practice that I do every single morning, and that I'm telling you about, so maybe you want to do it too. Every single morning, I imagine the Divine Mother and the Divine Father holding my mind and filling it with peace, and holding my heart and filling it with joy, and holding my body and filling every cell with love and healing and light, filling the rest of my life with love and healing and light, and connecting me to the divine truth. I do that every morning. I do it throughout the day. I do it for my children. I do it for whatever it is in the moment that I feel I want to bless. And at the end of the day, that's my supper ready. At the end of the day, this is all we need to do, is put everything in the arms of God, and wait for the miracles to show up. First, we're going to see blessings, and then we're going to see miracles. Miracles are the mountains moving, and blessings are the beautiful things that we see in between. But what I know for sure is with God, all things are possible.